You know, there are a lot of people podcasting these days. Recent numbers show there are over 2 million podcasts out there. But who does it? And can the average guy or gal make a living doing it? News 12's Dave Staley talks to one local podcaster in tonight's edition of More to the Story with Staley.
In a building just off Lee Highway, down the hall, it's a small studio where 53-year-old Clint Powell is applying his talent. It's his latest podcast called During the Break. Former Chief of Police David Roddy is the guest. Powell has been podcasting for a little over 3 years now. He's a radio man at heart, but he loves this form of communication. It's an industry that has really taken off the past 5 years.
I love radio because it's just got its own strengths, but you got 11 to 13 minutes. Podcast, I can get the whole story, and if one story leads to another story, I don't have the restraints of time. And that's why the other question you'll get sometimes is, how long should a podcast be? Well, in my world, a podcast should be as long as it takes to tell the story.
Many guys and gals start podcasting, whether it be in a professional studio in a building such as the one behind me, or for that matter, at home, in one's basement, or on the porch. Many start, but a relatively small number actually continue podcasting. Recent studies show that Powell is contributing to some 2 million podcasts out there. However, 25% are one-and-done podcasters. 44% have done 3 or fewer. Only 36% have done more than 10 podcasts. So relatively speaking, the number 2 million is very deceiving. For Powell, this is a way to make some extra cash. Some make a living off podcasting, especially those backed by the big companies and the big sponsors. But for the little guy, it can be done, but you might want to have a plan.
So if you're a sales coach, or if you sell a widget and I've got a podcast, then I can direct you to my website. Then all of a sudden I'm making a living, but it's indirect.
Powell says if you're thinking about podcasting, take his advice. Start low, go slow, and build it. And get good guests. Dave Staley, News 12 Now.
I think one of the things...
Very enlightening there. Surveys show that half of all podcast listeners are between the ages of 12 and 34. Well, with comedy being one of the most popular podcasts.